I joined. I started working in. At that time, we didn't call it ministries,
Okay.
but I started working in the church as a young kid. Just
Okay.
being on the usher board. Like I said, I in the choirs. Um, uh, like I said, church wasn't a option, and we at people. My brothers and my sisters at 908 East Havens, we had to be involved in church.
So you just
There,
had to do whatever was
yes.
going on at the
I
time.
mean, my dad was a deacon at the church, and me being the youngest out of six, a lot of times when if there was a light bulb to change in the church, guess who else was going other than my dad? I mean, if the light switch was turned on, Tony was there.
So like we all gonna be involved here. This is
Right, right, right.
family kingdom citizenship.
Exactly, exactly.
So I want to ask, like, since you had to be involved in basically everything Mount Pisgah from the time, listen, you were born, sounds like. What
Right,
was your, you're like 1 years old walking around doing ministry. I love it.
right, right.
Um, what was your least favorite thing? Like, what was the thing that you were like, you did it because you were obedient, but like, you were like, this is not me at all. I don't want to do this. I hate it.
I think it was Bible study, actually. I I thought it was boring.
I was
I
not
I
expecting that at all.
I really did. I thought it was boring because Bible study I felt was geared toward adults, matured
Okay.
adults.
Okay.
And we're sitting there and it's like, okay, so I might be on the back seat with my cousin or with Frank, and you know how we used to fold a piece of paper and make it look like a football, and we're back there flipping this thing, and we're not paying attention until an adult see us back there playing. But
I was gonna
I
say,
thought
I
that was
hope it
neat.
wasn't. Listen, I when I interviewed, oh my gosh, who rang the bell? Oh my gosh. Of course, I've been
Boyd
trying.
Kirby,
Yeah, he talked about
Mr.
a time
Kirby.
that he got in trouble in church. Somebody straight dimed him out in the middle of service, him and his brother. And I was like, that's horrible. So
Yeah.
I hope you don't have none of those stories. That would be
Well, I have some stories, but I'll keep those for a later date.
off camera because I want to know. I do love being nosy, but
Right.
I want to know.
But
So
one of the other things that stands out still today is when we had built the new Mount Pisgah church
Mhm.
on Sycamore Street, and we were marching from Playglass area uh, going to the new building, and it reminded me so much of history that I had read about the march in Selma and how the civil rights leaders marched. It just reminded me because it was like uh, so many people march walking, and we were singing as we walked, going from Playglass around by the cemetery, and then coming down Sycamore Street to the new building. We were marching and singing, and it just reminded me that, and
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can
know
see
why.
that. I can see
Yeah, yeah,
that. Yeah, I could totally see that. Especially when you're talking about a change, like you guys
yeah,
were approaching something new and that's given those feels. So I could definitely
yeah,
understand that.
yeah.
So when you started, so of course being younger, I think what was in your adult life when you're a little more mature, like you're no longer in the place where you feel like Bible study is boring. Um, what were you doing before your major role within the church?
Um, I was singing in the choir. Um, Mount
Why did I
Pisgah.
not know that you guys were singers in the choir? Why am I just finding this? Why am I today years old learning that you guys were part of the choir? That is wild.
Mount Pisgah had a youth choir. Um, it was probably at its best the most they had was probably 60 to 70 youth in the choir. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. The old sanctuary, we would march in from the side, go all the way to the back of the pews, march down the center aisle and
Oh,
into the
y'all say,
choir stand.
okay,
And
okay.
and we were still coming out the side door.
Man.
Um, yeah. The youth at Mount Pisgah, it seems like, I don't know, Mount Pisgah was a it was like a beacon light in the community of Kokomo, and it the Lord just used Mount Pisgah to draw youth, young people,
Wow.
and I remember they had like a green town. It wasn't the Greentown Fair, but they had a fair down at the church. I mean, the game booths, they had the petting zoo, they had the Ferris wheel, the merry-go-round rides and stuff. And and I was asking my sister Val, I said, Val, I said, am I crazy? I said, didn't we do this? Or did I just have a bad dream or what? She said, no, we did it.
No, I listen, I
And
heard
I,
from the campers that there was like a lot of those people that you mentioned earlier about like the people who invited you over to their house. I think they were one of the people
mhm,
that helped to facilitate that. Yeah. So the campers
yeah,
were just telling me about that.
yeah. And so to get back to what you asked me, what did I do? Majority, um, I sang in the choir. After I got past maybe 12 or 13, I didn't have to be on the junior ushers, and I couldn't stand it because we had to wear these big old bow ties, and I'm like, oh
And this at 12
my
or
God,
13,
are you
you
kidding
said
me? Now I said all
freedom.
that under my breath. Right, right, right. Did you hear me? I said all of that under my breath.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Right,
hopefully no parents are watching this
right,
whenever.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly, exactly. And the one that was over that was Marcy's grandmother, Miss Watkins. She was over the junior choir, and her and Uncle Phil they got together, and then the junior ushers was Marcy's mother,
Wow.
Martha. Yes, and so after
Wow.
a while, there was a changing of the guard, and then I think the junior ushers. I forget who took that over. Um, but I was no more part of that. I thought I had outgrown that. So
I'm too old for this. That's
right, right.
so I from what I understand, are you Mount Pisgah's first youth pastor?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Going through the transition of Pastor Kemper passing. Um, of course, I was already preaching then, um, and we had went through the process of calling a pastor, and Pastor Anderson came. Um, Me and Pastor Anderson, we just kind of connected. Like it was almost like we knew each other previously and had known
Wow.
each other for a long time. And so Pastor Anderson approached me, and he said, he said, I really would like to have a youth pastor here. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm looking around, and he said, you ought to think about that and get back with me. I said,
You didn't
okay.
feel like with all of the things you've done with youth, you didn't feel like that was you from the jump?
No, no,
Really?
no, no, no. I
Fascinating.
I didn't. It's not that I didn't want it. I didn't want to be in front of everybody. You
Okay.
know, I wanted to. My gift is helps. That's one of my gifts, and
Okay.
so I um I just didn't. I wanted to be part of leadership, but not that part of leadership. Let me work behind the
Yeah, I
scene.
don't want to do that. We have an
Yeah,
assistant youth pastor job or something. We'll get
right. And so I did pray about it, and I think I talked to. I don't recall. I've slept since then, and we're old.
No, no
Um,
worries. No worries.
I think I've talked to I say Kemper, Pastor Anderson, and he had Brother Floyd Tolliver talk to me, and we had a few meetings because I think at that time I was working. I had left the fire department and I was working at Chrysler. And so we had some meetings and we talked, and things worked out, and yeah, I'm the first youth pastor at Mount Pisgah. But I tell you, one of the best things about my time being youth pastor was the team.
Mm.
And I
Who were the team
it,
members
it
for those who don't know?
say again.
Who were the team members for those of us that don't know?
Team members was my Nikki, uh, Kim, John Hill, Rhonda Hill, all the young adults that you see right now, maybe that's still there, they were part of the team. And,
Okay.
and so Pastor shared his vision with the church, and each ministry had to take that vision and formulate it and show it how it's going to be active in your particular ministry. And so one of the things we had with the youth, no trip. Let's see, what was it? No Bible study, no Sunday school. You don't pay no tithes, no trip, so don't trip.
Oh, come on through.
And
Say it again. Wait, say it again. What was it? No.
no Bible study, no church, no tithes, so no trip, so don't trip.
Listen.
So those were the requirements throughout the ministry.
Wow.
Not just for the kids, but for our advisors.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 I love that. And how would you say that and I know you can't speak for the team. That actually would have been cool to have the team on here, but you know what? That's
Yeah.
okay. I just thought about that just now. Um, how do you think that that contributed to your spiritual growth and development, even just from the beginning to the end?
It contributed a lot because we had to study,
Mm,
and you couldn't only talk that talk, you had to walk it because they was watching you.
wow.
You know, when we had our lock-ins, when we had, I think we had what was it, the purity classes, and we went through and we took the girls and the boys and we separated them, and at the end of that 8 weeks going through this book we had a purity ball, and the fathers would present their daughters with necklaces or whatever, and so we had to, or a ring, and we had to live it out instead of just talk it out.
Okay.
So it forced us to stay in the word, and like I said, we had to have the same requirement that we put on the kids.
So when you guys, both of you, when you went into ministry working with youth um more closely with liturgical dance and with being a youth pastor, is that something that you always kept in the front of your mind? Like, I have to be the student of the word myself, or does that something that like um that you learned doing it?
A little
Does
bit of
that make
both.
sense?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
Um, Go ahead.
The thing is, the kids will call you out in a heartbeat.
And them jokers ain't changed in 2024.
Right.
They would call you out.
Okay. Okay. So that also helped hold you accountable.
It
Yes.
did.
We were
And you
all
didn't get
accountable for
upset
each
when that happened?
No.
Okay.
I ain't gonna say I didn't get upset. I'm like, mind your business. Mind your
We
business.
ain't talking about you. We ain't talking about me, little
Right.
honey.
Right.
Yeah. But later on, you thought about it and you realized, like, God used it as a tool of accountability.
Yes.
It did. He did. And then we I think at one point we had accountability partners.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Within the
Uh,
team or the whole
yeah,
group?
the whole group, the whole church.
What is okay? So, what was that system?
That system was just finding somebody uh and that you guys would hold each other accountable throughout the life period, in the church, on the job, at home. uh, it didn't matter. They held you, we held each other accountable. We had somebody to talk to, and we had somebody to share with when we was in crisis. No matter what it was, we had. If you start missing, then hey, your partner is going to hold you accountable, and it's not to beat you down, but it's to encourage you and lift you up.
So, when was that instituted? Was that instituted when Pastor Kemper was still alive, or when Pastor Anderson got here?
That was with Pastor Anderson.
And so, why did he ever explain why he felt like that needed to be instituted throughout the entire church?
I think it was instituted because the church, we get so caught up in church members, but when we stop seeing people as church members and start seeing each other as brothers and sisters in Christ,
Mm,
the look and the take is a lot different.
yeah. What were some of the activities that you guys did as a youth group? I heard you talk about trips. I know in your earlier memories you talked about the circus. So, what were the things that you all did or implemented for the youth when you guys were in leadership at that time?
Some of the things we did, especially when Pastor Anderson got there, is we wanted the kids to know about where they came from,
Okay.
what we or where we as a black people came from, and
Okay.
we did the heritage tour, and we took them to Selma, um,
Yeah.
and we did the bridge crossing, and that was so enlightening to a lot of our kids at that time, because there were some in the group, in the youth group, um, they had never been out of Indiana.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so for them to experience um, history down there, Reverend Reese, Pastor Reese, to see a living legend, um, and to see a lot of the things been learning a little bit in school, that was enlightening. Um, some of the other things is
Yes.
Anne took the girls that was in liturgical dancing.
To fish.
She took them down to Fish University, and they were exposed to the professional dancers that was from the gospel music workshop.
And Alvin Ailey.
And Alvin Ailey, now who Alvin Ailey is, I don't know.
I was just about to ask. I'm so glad you said. Where is Fisk? Is it Fisk with a K or Fish University?
Fisk.
Fisk,
Fisk.
Okay, where is Fisk University?
Tennessee.
Nashville,
Okay,
Nashville.
okay. Is that an
Black College.
HBCU? I was okay. That's what I was getting ready to ask. Is it an H?
Hmm.
Okay, I knew that, but there might be those who don't know. 'Cause I am a product of an HBCU.
All
Uh,
right.
so those you took them to Fisk University to to see other dancers from that
Correct.
look like them.
Like us.
Okay.
Yes. Professional dancers.
As I think about this year and people who have assumed your roles, what advice would you give them? Or what
Prayed up and stay the course.
say it again?
Stay prayed up and stay the course.
Mm, absolutely.
I would say learn to listen well.
Okay.
Um,
That's good.
the youth have a story, and their story may not be your story. And so learn to listen well, because they might be younger than you, they might be a lot younger than you, but they still have a story.
Mm,
And they you ought to create avenues where they can tell their story, whether it's in learning what how much God loves us, and through that Bible teaching, that Bible lesson, uh, whether it's praise dancing or singing in the choir, um, they all have a story. And if you listen well, you'll hear it,
that's really
and
good.
open avenues that they can tell their story.
Is there anything else that you would like for us to know about Mount Pisgah, um, about your role in Mount Pisgah in the community, or anything like that?
For me, um, Mount Pisgah will always be home. Um, um, Never take it for granted that home will be there. Um, I never miss Mount Pisgah more than I have now. Um, the exposure that Pastor Anderson gave me as a young preacher. Um, we traveled to Ghana, Africa, and to be exposed to the different preachers, pastors, uh, being able to sit in the presence of Pastor K and preach at his church, at People's Baptist Church,
And
uh,
love him.
being able to sit at his feet while he pours into me, because me as a young pastor, um, that didn't happen until well, I learned from Pastor Kemper by watching him and
Mm,
listening to him. With Pastor Anderson, he's more of a hands-on pastor, and there were some requirements that he required, not just from youth pastor, but from preachers, period. And so the time that he shared in pouring into to me and the other brothers, um, I cherish that, because now I'm in the South,
mm,
and the South is
Yes.
totally different. Uh, um, and so I've had to
Readjust.
readjust my think not my thinking, but I'm just a hands-on, I'm ready to go do this, and being in the South is kind of slowed down. And
okay.
so um I love where I'm at. But it's taken some adjustment, because
Sure.
was so used to Mount Pisgah being a progressive church. And hey, I mean, if the sky is up there, I'm trying to reach it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but it's been good. It's been good. So I would say, long story short, don't take home for granted.
I'm just thankful for being under Pastor Anderson. He's taught so much to us,
Absolutely.
and we
Absolutely.
miss it. We miss
Absolutely.
him so much. A lot of things I didn't understand while we were there, but as I step back and think back to what he said and how he did what he did, it makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why you needed the Bible study, why the kids, even though they fought me tooth and nail on the Bible study,
Yeah.
why it was so important for them to be in that class and to understand. I understand it now. I don't think I understood it so much then as
Right.
I do now,
Right.
but I'm thankful for his training and his upbringing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, but I love you guys. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I really did enjoy myself, and I hope you all did too. And everybody walks away learning just a little bit more about you guys.
Well, I appreciate you
Including,
interviewing us and including us.
yes,
I still feel like I'm part of Mount Pisgah. I will always be that way. And Lord say the same. We'll see you guys in
in
July.
July.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, this has been another legacy conversation with Brother Tony and Sister Anne Merriwether. And that is it.
All right. See
Yay.
ya. Bye.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.